Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a bit of a Q&A video, and it's been a while since I've sat down and just answered some of your questions, helped us get to know each other a bit better, so I figured it would be fun to do one of those today. And I want to dive right into these questions because we've got a ton of great ones, but before we do, if you haven't subscribed already, be sure to hit that subscribe button below for more minimalism, decluttering, and intentional living content coming at you twice a week. But with that, let's get started with the first question, and I'll just be reading these off of my phone. Lindsay asks, is there something that you regret getting rid of? For the most part, I really don't regret any of the decisions I've made to declutter. There is, if I think on it, one item that maybe every once in a while I kind of look back on and say, oh, maybe I wish I kept that, and that's actually the sweater that I got engaged in. I really did like that sweater. It was from Free People, and obviously because I got engaged in it, it had a lot of really fun memories for me, but it didn't really fit me that well, and yeah, just over time, I knew I wasn't going to wear it again, and so I did make the decision to declutter it. Sometimes I kind of wish I still had it, but I'd say that like 90% of the time, I know that I never would have worn it again. I still have pictures of me wearing it and getting engaged in it, so I don't regret it, but if there was one item that I look back on and say, oh, maybe, that would be it. Okay, next question comes from Linda, and she asks, how do you feel when you visit people's homes with visible clutter? And I actually get asked this question quite a bit, and honestly, it doesn't really bother me all that much. Yes, if things are so piled that you can barely find a place to sit, that might, drive me a little bit crazy. But for the most part, having a more simple and visually uncluttered space is something that I really value for my personal house, but I don't necessarily feel the need to impose that on others. If some people enjoy a more cluttered or just like busy decorating style, I think that's totally up to them, especially if I'm just visiting a space and know I'm going to be going back to my decluttered home when I get back. Really doesn't bother me. This is a bit of a fun one. Rachel asks, how or why did you move from Canada to North Carolina? I live in Canada and have been thinking for some time about moving. What are some pluses and minuses? So I first moved to the United States because of my dad's job. We moved first to Boston, then to North Carolina. And then I met Christopher in North Carolina, got married, and have lived here since. So it was originally my dad's job that brought me here, but then it really was the people I met, whether that's my husband or I'll have a lot of friends here, who kind of kept me in North Carolina. And then just in terms of pluses and minuses, I would say the people here really are incredible, and I've made some of the best friends of my life here. That being said, it is incredibly hot and humid in the summers, which I personally enjoy colder weather and snow. So the snow and just outdoor activities in general is definitely one of the biggest things I miss living in North Carolina. That, and this might not seem big, but for me, as someone who really loves history and architecture, I love old homes. So in New England and in where I lived in Canada, there was a lot of really beautiful old architecture, which personally I love. And here in North Carolina, there are very few buildings that are older than 50 years old, which, yeah, isn't a big deal or a deal breaker for why I'm not going to live in a state or a city, but it is something that I miss. And kind of side note off of that, that's also one of the reasons why I love Europe so much too. MD Hello asks, how do you save more money as a minimalist? And I want to talk in a video about this soon, but there are two main ways that you can begin to save more money. You can make more money and you can save more money by buying less. And so I think a lot of times we get in our heads that we just need to buy less, buy less, buy less, which, minimalism definitely does help with that aspect of saving money, in that when you are trying to simplify your life, you're bringing things into your life very intentionally, it does help you to spend a lot less. And so in that way, minimalism really can help with being able to save money. But I think that one aspect that we often gloss over is as your income goes up, your ability to save also increases. And so I think that's something I want to talk about more, is just the fact that Christopher and I have been in the process of saving for a down payment for a house for some time, and as we move towards that, the biggest thing that we found really changed the game for us wasn't actually cutting out spending. That did help, but the biggest thing that made a difference in our ability to save significantly more money was both of us either going out and getting more jobs or finding jobs where we were getting paid more. And obviously that didn't happen overnight. But I think it's really important that we consider that saving money is not just the result of spending less, it's also of earning more. And so if you really want to multiply your ability to save, I think it's important not to just focus on one or the other, but to kind of use the two in combination to save the most money as possible. Obviously, with the global pandemic going on right now, that is far easier said than done, but it definitely is something that can make a big difference. This is a quick little fun one. Tiny Dancer asks, what is your all-time favorite tea? And my favorite tea, I have a lot of them. I would say that on the whole, rooibos and chai teas tend to be my favorite, as well as Earl Grey. But my all-time favorite tea comes from David's Tea, and it's a loose leaf tea called S'mores Chai Puree. So it is a chai puree tea. It literally tastes like s'mores, not in a way that's too sickeningly sweet, but it is so good. I am currently out of it. And I actually have to go up to Canada to get it, so it's going to be a little while until that happens. You're allowed. But whenever I have the chance, that is definitely my tea of choice. Okay, next up, ECM0405 asks, what are some things that you know you need to get rid of but can't? And for the most part, I have done a great job of being very critical with myself and diving deep and evaluating, do I really need this, and looking at the things that I'm decluttering. But that being said, I am probably overdue for, I have one box of sentimental items that I keep. I'm probably overdue for decluttering that one more time just to reduce it a level further. I am a pretty sentimental person by nature, and so having a memories box is something that I love. But I could probably let go of more than I have in that box and maybe make room for future memories. Let's keep this rolling with another decluttering question. Serene Stars asks, how often do you declutter? And it really does depend. There are definitely certain times of year where I'm feeling the urge to declutter a lot more. I'd say in the spring and fall particularly. I tend to do most of my decluttering with relatively little happening over the holidays as well as in the summer. So it's usually just a few times of year that I'm doing a full-on declutter. What actually happens far more frequently, and is something that I do throughout the year really, is I'll have a box set aside, and if as I come across something that isn't serving me, or as I just find something that doesn't fit me anymore, a piece of clothing, I'll set those aside in a box, and then as it gets filled up, declutter that. I'd say that probably gets filled up about every 2 months, but I definitely declutter a lot less now than I ever used to, especially as I was starting my decluttering journey. Okay, I like this one. What did you study in college? So I actually studied two different things because I have my bachelor's degree and master's. So for my bachelor's degree, I studied business administration with a focus in digital marketing and advertising. And then I went back and got my master's in promotion and video content, which obviously I'm using here, and then in my other job as well. I'm able to use that a lot. And yeah, really glad that I went back for my master's because I think it gave a lot more focus to what I was doing, whereas I ended up picking my bachelor's degree just because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Also, apologies if the road noise is a bit distracting in the background. It's actually like this all the time here, and usually I re-say things so that you can't hear it as much, but I'm just trying to make this as conversational as possible, so if you hear things like that, I'm sorry. I hope you can get past it. I know it's distracting though. Moving on, Kathy asks, is Christopher from Canada? And no, he is actually an American. He was born in LA, but moved when he was 2, so I don't think he really remembers it at all. But all his family lives in North Carolina, and he spent most of his life here. So yeah, he is American. Obviously, I'm Canadian, and so I have my green card, and I'm probably going to get citizenship in the next couple of years here. So that is our story, and actually, I got a bunch more Questifers. I got a bunch more questions on Christopher. And so I was thinking it might be fun for us to do a little couples Q&A. Our 4th wedding anniversary is actually coming up in a couple weeks here, and I thought that might be a fun little video to film, so comment down below and let me know if you want to see that. I think that might be fun. For our next question though, Eliza asks, before YouTube, what kind of job or career do you have? And do you prefer YouTube? So I shared this a little bit with my bachelor's degree and master's. I actually do still work. YouTube is part of my income, but I also work part-time in marketing. And so that's what I studied in college, and pretty much straight out of college, I got a job in digital marketing, doing a lot of consulting for small businesses and individuals looking to grow their online presence. So it really is a fun job, and I get to do some consulting and then some social media management. And so I just love that process of being able to help those individuals and small businesses with just incredible missions and values get their message out to the world. I have a lot of fun with that. I do really enjoy the work that I do, as well as enjoying YouTube. I think that YouTube definitely brings out my creative side a little bit more, but then I also enjoy just the critical thinking of my other job as well. So I would say maybe YouTube I do enjoy a little bit more, just because it is a bit more creative and I do love expressing that creativity. But that being said, the work that I do in marketing and the specific type of marketing I do is really fulfilling for me. Okay, let's just wrap this up with a couple more questions here. The minimalist Stella asks, what's one thing that you have really enjoyed doing during these times of self-quarantine? And there have been a couple things that I've really had a lot of fun with. First off is embroidery. I've worked on a few pieces, which I think I might have shared in videos. And then the other thing is doing puzzles. I have a few Thomas Kincaid puzzles and have done every puzzle I own, as well as borrowed a few from my parents. So I love a good jigsaw puzzle and have had fun just whittling away at a few of those during self-quarantine too. And then for this last question, Amy asks, since you've lived both in the north and the south, would you rather be in an area that is hot all year or cold? I would far rather be cold all year. I know that that might be a controversial answer because I feel like so many people move south because of the weather. But personally, I grew up on skis. I love skating. I love sledding. I love snow. And I feel really miserable in high heat and humidity. I'd say that like 27 degrees Celsius is a great temperature, but here in North Carolina, it's usually 35 in the summer, which is unbearable realistically for me. So I would far rather be cold all year. So I think we're going to end this one here. I have had a ton of fun just sitting here and chatting, answering some of these questions. This one was pretty unstructured and we answered some questions about a little bit of everything, which I thought was really fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it, that it maybe gave you some little insights onto who I am as a person. I know that I've had a lot of you guys join my channel in the past couple months and just am so grateful for all of you being here and joining me, and I'm really excited to get to know each other more. If you had a question that you wanted an answer to that I didn't answer in the context of this video, be sure to comment it below and I will try to reply to every single one of you. I love chatting with you guys in the comments. That is it for today's video though. If you enjoyed it and you aren't subscribed already, be sure to hit the subscribe button below for more minimalism, decluttering, and intentional living content coming at you twice a week. And if you guys want to follow me on Instagram for a little bit more of a personalized snapshot of my life as well as more daily updates, be sure to do so. My Instagram handle is ashlynne.eaton, and I'll have that linked up below in the description box too. Alright, well that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.